I love this guy. I met him at last MapCon, and I also got to hang out with him at DC Podfest. Shout out to DC Podfest. Shout out to Jennifer Crawford, who isn't here, sadly. I know, it breaks my heart too, but I know her, love her, and you should totally check out DC Podfest as well. It's in like 2 months or something like that, month and a half. Anyway, I would like to introduce Kyle Bondo.
Yeah!
Woo! Come on, give it up for Kyle.
Yeah, God.
What's your names, man?
So boom, there I was. Imagine this is the deck of the USS Cleveland. We're 5 miles off of a nice place that few Westerners have been to, called the Chat El Arab. It's right next to a big sandbar called Boubion Island, in a place, well, I won't tell you where it's at, it rhymes with my back.
Yeah.
And we're on this deck, I'm standing next to John Cougar Williams. Not his real last name, let's just say this is his name right now. Lieutenant Commander, a pilot, because all pilots become drone guys for some reason. I don't know why that is. And we're standing there watching the launch of a Pioneer UAV. It's about the size of a Volkswagen. Doesn't look like it's made very well. Got a prop engine on it. There's a petty officer there loading a rocket bottle to the bottom of it. Now, we're standing there, countdown, they launch it, off it goes into the darkness like a flaming arrow. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes, splash. That was the second one of the night. $1.3 million worth of U.S. Navy equipment at the bottom of the Arabian Gulf. Now, poor Cougar, that was unfortunately his 8th aircraft he had lost. Now, he was a helicopter pilot. He happened to be ferrying an admiral once upon a time on his last crash, and that's how he became a UAV deck commander, because they wouldn't let him fly helicopters anymore. We had an investigation. Turns out his code name, or his call sign, wasn't Cougar. His call sign was Bandicoot. Now, if you're a Sony PlayStation fan, you probably know what Bandicoot's first name is. Anybody? Crash. Yes, his real code name or call sign was Crash, but when he came to the UAV deck, he changed it. Very verboten in Navy, because you don't get to pick a code name. They give it to you. Okay? So we're standing there, finding all this stuff out. And he turns to me and he says, and I'll never forget, "Well, I guess Bob's not my uncle anymore." It's not your uncle anymore. What the hell? All right, so what is that? So if you want my slides, you can go to gagglepod.com, MapCom 2009. My name's Kyle Bondo. I am the chief creative at Gagglepod with my buddy Tim Bryan. And together, we are really interested in how podcasts are designed. Kind of everything before the microphone. Now, what we do, we have a podcast called Podwrecked, which is another funny word, right? Imagine you're pod wrecking. That doesn't seem like something you really want to listen to. But it's about how you navigate through the pod wreck, how do you get to the safe harbor, right? Well, what we've kind of done is dissected podcasts and try to understand how the heck these actually work. What makes moments memorable? Now, that story I just told you about poor Cougar is memorable only because he turned to me and said, "Well, I guess Bob's not my uncle anymore." He said that one line, and it burned into my mind that he said that I remember all the other details. And that's what I kind of want to tell you today. So I want to give you a quote. Now, if you've ever seen the movie or the TV show Halt and Catch Fire, this was very popular then. Maybe if you didn't, I'll kind of refer to it. It's not the thing that's important, it's the thing that gets you to the thing. Now, tell me, how many people want to pod fade? Where's my pod faders out there? How many want to have your podcast crash and burn and pod wreck? Where are you at? Exactly. That's the thing. Podcasting is a mechanic. It's a tool. Podcasting is the thing that gets you to the thing. Now, this poor girl up here we've left on the ledge, that rope is Matthew and Jackie and Ambition and Stefan and David and all the people that come before me, Ross, Tim, Pat, Georgia, Lou, Raph, Stephanie, Scott, and now Neil. That's my rope right there. And what they do, they build me all my carabiners, which is resonate. You might have heard that today. Vulnerable, transparent, ambition, balance, purpose, action, inspiration. As you can tell, I keep track of all the things you guys say. But that's the thing you have to worry about, is podcasting gets you to the thing you want. What's the thing you want? All those other words. That's what you want. So how do we do it there? How do we get there? So experiment time. I'm going to give you a sentence, and I want you to complete the sentence. Just shout it out. Ready? Oh, wait. I skipped ahead. Sorry. I have an idea called memory branding. It's an idea just like, Bob's not your uncle anymore, of how things stick in your head and why you remember things. That's an important point. We'll come back to that. Now, finish the sentence. Now you know. And?
Knowing is half the battle.
Hey, we got that. Got some G.I. Joe fans out there? That's right. And knowing is half the battle. How do people know that? Now, if you're a geek like me and you're into G.I. Joe, and as I was a little kid growing up, G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle was 10 years worth of cartoons, right? In fact, it's only half the battle. Remember, there's another half of the battle we have to keep in mind. We don't want to forget the other half of the battle, so thank you, other half of the battle. Oops. How do you do the same? No. You click on it? Just to remind everybody.
Don't judge people till you give them a chance.
Because there's a chance you could be wrong. Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
There you go. So just so you're reminded, right? However, that's not where that came from. It came from this guy. Now I want to introduce you to Mr. Paul Harvey. This is the Paul Harvey of radio from all the way back in the 50s. Paul Harvey is, of course, and news and comment, and of course this very famous show, The Rest of the Story. In fact, for 56 years he did The Rest of the Story. He was the guy who said, and now you know, the rest of the story, on a lot of places for 24 million people a week. So maybe he might know something. Maybe. Okay? Just to remind you.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Ooh, evil G.I. Joe. Maybe Cobra stole that from them, right? So I want to introduce you to something I'm calling the Paul Harvey Principle. And the Paul Harvey Principle goes a little bit like this. Here's a really big word up here. Idiosyncratic delivery. What's that really mean? It's the way in which we talk, the way in which we deliver the content on our podcast. It's the way in which we say things or add little things to our podcast that, like the title of this presentation, makes you weird. Because you want to be weird. You want to be the person that says something that people remember. Delivering consistent quirks. Do you just deliver your podcast every day, all the time? And Stefan put a whole bunch of list of podcasts that does some of these things. And if you were listening very carefully, you heard some of the weird things they do. Now I'm going to show you 5 examples of some of the weird things that people do that you could use. Remember, Paul Harvey did it for 56 years. Do you think he's the only one who ever did that? Of course not. Let's talk about this guy. Be clear. Who's this guy? This is Mike Rowe. Dirty Jobs, right? Well, Mike Rowe loved Paul Harvey. Well, Paul Harvey, he passed away in 2009. Well, in 2016, Mike Rowe wanted to rekindle the Paul Harvey spirit. And he did that through a show called The Way I Heard It.
With a fellow citizen and borrow a few in return, a traveler named George Washington. So help me God. That's the way I heard it.
Sounds an awful lot like Now You Know the Rest of the Story, doesn't it? Yeah. It's an homage. He borrowed that from Paul Harvey, of course. It's not the same, but it's kind of the same. It's the same idea. So imagine how many radio personalities are out there who have been broadcasting since the 1930s, have these kind of things you could borrow from. So this is the clever thing. He made the clever thing, basically a Paul Harvey-like type show. The next guy I want to introduce you to a guy maybe you don't know. This guy named Will Nichols. Will Nichols has a podcast called The Angry Mountain Biker. If anyone knows me, just like I'm surprised Scott's not here. I would love to talk to him some more. He does a very serious show about mountain biking. We're talking riding and events and riding techniques and different things, and the International Mountain Biking Association not supporting trails the way they should be and all that kind of serious stuff. But at the end of his show, he does this. What?
Will, let's talk about a mountain bike.
That's his 6-year-old nephew. At the end of his show, you're serious, maybe I should be angry about trails, maybe I should go do chainsaws or something like that. And all of a sudden, here comes this 6-year-old, Will, let's talk about mountain bikes. And you go, what? That's the kind of thing you're looking for. It's that unexpected thing. Next thing I want to talk to you about is a guy named Chris Hardwick. And if you might know Chris Hardwick from At Midnight, you might know him from The Nerdist, in which he sold that off to someone else. When he sold that off, he rebranded his podcast to ID10T. And if anyone, of course, knows what that is, that's the license plate for Idiot, right? So, ID10T with Chris Hardwick, he has something we call the meta quote. It's something that's followed him around forever. And in the meta quote is kind of a way of looking at life. And if you are not on the inside joke of what this meta quote is, you don't get it. You'll hear it, and you're like, what is that? And it'll be something where you feel left out. Did I get that?
Enjoy your burrito, everyone. Enjoy your space burrito. Do they have burritos in space? No. That's another reason why my neck hurts.
ID10T scanning complete. Enjoy your burrito.
What the heck does enjoy your burrito? That sounds strange. Well, enjoy your burrito is his friends live in the Hollywood area. And they have ups and downs of their career. And one day they got really, really tired of being up one day and down one day. And his friends said, dang it, I can't even enjoy my burrito until bad news shows up. So maybe I should just enjoy my burrito. In other words, I should just enjoy my life as it is now. Meta. That's heavy. But if you never listen to the show, you would never know that. So I can look at someone else and go, hey, enjoy your burrito. It's like, you enjoy your burrito too, dude? We can talk a secret language that no other people can. Is that in your show? Do you have a secret language in your show? Next time you should do, maybe a guy you may know, Chris Curran, right? Podcast Engineering School. I love this guy. Every single time he laughs, I can't help it. I start laughing. He's hilarious. Now, feel free to grunt, everyone.
We got you.
You got me covered. That's classic. All right, we just got to get into this. We're going to do it. Feel free to grunt, everyone.
There we go. This is the opening to his show.
Oh my God.
What? Is that talking?
Dude.
Check that out. He doesn't just say, and now my show, music plays, and then he goes to something else.
Welcome to the Podcast Engineering Show.
He talks over it. He sings with it. In fact, in some of his shows, he'll let that play for 3 minutes. And he'll just be, I love it. Do you do that show? Do you have that kind of energy in your show? Are you that silly in your show? Does your theme music inspire you to be this kind of person? Maybe you should. The Dave Jackson, who I wish was here. But he'll be missed. It's funny that I called this title Be Missed, because God is missed, right?
Yeah.
Now, Dave Jackson, the Hall of Famer Dave Jackson, he does something in his podcast where he changed it one time. And I went, whoa, wait a minute, that's wrong. Something's not right. I'm missing something, it's not computing. There's something missing from the podcast. And of course, it was the 3 words, the 3 famous words of podcasting. What do you think those 3 famous words are? Oh, do I do? Okay, there you go.
Hit it, ladies.
The School of Podcasting with Dave Jackson.
Drum solo.
Podcasting
There you
since
go.
2005.
Dave Jackson says hit it, ladies, at the end of his introduction every single episode. Until he didn't. It was missing. He changed his format up on purpose in order to kind of play with the audience and try some new things. Dave does this a lot. But the Hit It Ladies part of his show was missing. It was a piece of the show that I listen to all the time because I just like the way Dave Jackson says stuff. I follow his podcast because of the way he talks. He has a whole bunch of other podcasts that have nothing to do with podcasting. I subscribe to those too. I'm like Neil with Gear V. You know, I don't know why I like listening to Build a Better Dave, which is really, kind of meta. Meta's my word today. But I do. Why? Because if he stops saying those kind of things, the way he talks, I'm addicted to that. Those are the kind of things you need in your show. The things that will be missed. And of course, the theme of this entire conference is be yourself. Each one of you has something weird, some quirk, some way you say something. My son says the word dollar. He says dollar. I don't know why. I say milt. That ice is melting over there. Don't know why. Those are weird things. Those things you can use. You can actually take that and put that in your podcast. Have those strange things. Put them in the beginning. Put them in the end. Put them somewhere in the middle. Be silly. Be quirky. Be weird. Experiment. You're not going to know what it is until you try it. You need to play with ideas. You have to go through all these kind of things and figure out what is the thing that you may not actually think is weird. The other people go, oh, dude, that's totally weird. The way you laugh and then you go, that kind of thing. That could be your theme music. And then stick with what fits. Another surprising thing is other people will tell you what your weird thing is if you don't know what it is. So ask them. Ask your friends and family. What's the weird thing that I do? Oh, jeez. They'll tell you. And that's the best part about family. They'll tell you. And they'll be honest. So the last thing I want to leave you with, it's your turn. What weird thing will you do next? It's really kind of the attitude of finding that thing and running with it. I am Kyle Bondo. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Kyle. Give it up for Kyle one more time.